The first hours of 2025 brought joy and celebration to New Orleans' famed French Quarter. Throngs of revelers packed Bourbon Street, eager to ring in the new year. Music filled the air, blending with laughter and the clinking of glasses. But the festive atmosphere was shattered in an instant. At 12:23 a.m., a deafening roar pierced the night. A truck driven by 42-year-old Army veteran Shamsuddin Jabbar ploughed into the unsuspecting crowd. Chaos ensued. Screams mingled with the grinding of metal as Jabbar's truck careened down the street, leaving a trail of carnage in its wake. Before police could react, Jabbar opened fire, spraying bullets into the terrified crowd. The attack, as sudden as it was brutal, left 15 dead and dozens injured. Police, responding with remarkable speed, engaged Jabbar in a firefight, ultimately killing him. The attack sent shockwaves through New Orleans and across the nation. This was not just another senseless act of violence, this was a calculated assault, meticulously planned and executed with chilling precision. The discovery of IEDs planted along Jabbar's intended route confirmed the worst fears. This was an act of terrorism. As investigators delved into Jabbar's past, a disturbing picture began to emerge. The decorated veteran, who had served in both Iraq and Afghanistan, had become radicalized. Social media posts revealed a deep-seated hatred for the United States and an allegiance to ISIS. The attack on Bourbon Street was not an isolated incident. It was a chilling reminder of the threat posed by homegrown terrorism, a threat that could emerge from the most unexpected corners of American society. The New Orleans attack thrust the issue of homegrown terrorism into the national spotlight. While incidents like this are often attributed to lone wolves, the reality is far more complex. Shamsuddin Jabbar, despite acting alone in carrying out the attack, did not exist in a vacuum. His radicalization was likely influenced by a complex interplay of factors, including online propaganda, personal grievances, and potentially contact with extremist groups. The internet has become a breeding ground for extremism, providing a platform for hate groups to spread their ideology and recruit new members. Veterans, often struggling with the invisible wounds of war, can be particularly vulnerable to online radicalization. Feelings of isolation, anger, and disillusionment can make them susceptible to extremist narratives that offer a sense of belonging and purpose. Moreover, the skills and training acquired during military service can be easily misappropriated. Veterans possess a unique understanding of weapons, tactics, and explosives, making them attractive recruits for terrorist organizations or enabling them to carry out attacks independently. The New Orleans attack, with its sophisticated planning and execution, highlights the potential danger posed by veterans with extremist leanings. While the vast majority of veterans are law-abiding citizens who contribute positively to society, the threat posed by even a small number of radicalized individuals cannot be ignored. Understanding the factors that contribute to lone wolf terrorism is crucial for developing effective prevention strategies. This requires a multifaceted approach that addresses the root causes of extremism, while also providing veterans with the support they need to reintegrate into civilian life. The specter of veterans turning their military training against their homeland is not a new phenomenon. Throughout history, there have been isolated but deeply troubling instances of veterans engaging in domestic terrorism. These cases, though rare, raise profound questions about the potential for violence to spill over from the battlefield into civilian life. One such example is the case of Timothy McVeigh, the perpetrator of the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. A Gulf War veteran, McVeigh used his knowledge of explosives to construct a fertilizer bomb that killed 168 people and injured hundreds more. His actions, fueled by anti-government extremism, serve as a stark reminder of the destructive potential of veterans radicalized by extremist ideologies. While the motivations and ideologies of veteran perpetrators vary widely, there are often common threads that connect them. Many struggle to readjust to civilian life, haunted by their experiences in combat or grappling with untreated mental health conditions. These challenges can create a sense of alienation and vulnerability, making them susceptible to extremist narratives that offer a sense of purpose and belonging. The military, with its emphasis on discipline, hierarchy, and the use of force, can also inadvertently contribute to a mindset that makes violence seem like an acceptable solution to problems. This is not to say that military service inherently predisposes individuals to violence. However, it is crucial to acknowledge that the skills and experiences gained in the military can be misused, particularly by individuals struggling to cope with the psychological and emotional burdens of war. In the wake of the New Orleans attack, there have been urgent calls for increased surveillance and stricter security measures. While these measures may offer a sense of security, they are unlikely to address the root causes of homegrown terrorism. Moreover, focusing solely on external threats risks overlooking the more insidious danger posed by the enemy within. Identifying potential threats within the veteran community presents a unique challenge. Veterans are a diverse group, encompassing a wide range of backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences. Painting them with a broad brush, labeling them as potential threats, would be not only inaccurate but also deeply unfair. Instead, efforts to identify potential threats should focus on specific behaviors and indicators that may suggest a heightened risk of violence. These indicators can include sudden changes in behavior. This could involve increased isolation, withdrawal from social activities, or a sudden interest in extremist ideologies. Expressions of anger or resentment. This could manifest as verbal threats, online rants, or a fascination with violence. Acquisition of weapons or explosives. Any unusual or suspicious activity related to weapons should be treated with the utmost seriousness. It is important to note that these indicators are not foolproof. Many veterans may exhibit these behaviors without posing any threat to themselves or others. However, any concerning behavior should be reported to the appropriate authorities, who can then conduct a thorough assessment to determine the level of risk. Section 5. Scars of Service, Mental Health and Extremism. The psychological toll of war cannot be overstated. Veterans often return home bearing invisible wounds that can be just as debilitating as physical injuries. Post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, and other mental health conditions can have a profound impact on their lives, affecting their relationships, employment, and overall well-being. Untreated mental health conditions can create a breeding ground for extremism. Veterans struggling with PTSD may experience heightened anxiety, anger, and paranoia, making them more susceptible to radicalization. Extremist groups often prey on these vulnerabilities, offering a sense of community, purpose, and belonging that may be lacking in their lives. Moreover, the stigma surrounding mental health issues within the military can prevent veterans from seeking the help they need. Fearing that acknowledging their struggles could jeopardize their careers or social standing, many veterans suffer in silence, their conditions worsening over time. This creates a dangerous cycle, increasing their vulnerability to extremist ideologies. Addressing the mental health crisis among veterans is not only a moral imperative but also a national security concern. By providing veterans with access to quality mental health care, we can help them heal from the invisible wounds of war and reduce their susceptibility to extremism. This requires a comprehensive approach that includes increased funding for veterans' mental health services, reducing the stigma surrounding mental health issues within the military, and training healthcare providers to recognize and treat the unique needs of veterans. Section 6. Beyond the battlefield reintegration and support. The transition from military to civilian life can be challenging for even the most well-adjusted veterans. Leaving behind the structure, camaraderie, and purpose of military service can be disorienting, leading to feelings of isolation, uncertainty, and a loss of identity. For veterans struggling with mental health conditions or physical injuries, the challenges of reintegration can be even more daunting. Finding employment, navigating the complexities of the VA system, and rebuilding their lives can feel overwhelming. Without adequate support, these veterans may turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms, including substance abuse or extremist ideologies. Creating a smoother transition for veterans requires a multifaceted approach that addresses their unique needs. This includes expanding access to job training and placement programs, providing comprehensive support for veterans navigating the VA system, and creating more opportunities for veterans to connect with each other and build a sense of community. By easing the transition to civilian life, we can help veterans feel valued, supported, and empowered. This, in turn, can reduce their vulnerability to extremism and foster a sense of belonging within their communities. Section 7. Closing ranks. The military's role in prevention. The military has a crucial role to play in preventing extremism within its ranks. While the vast majority of service members are dedicated patriots, even a small number of extremists can pose a significant threat. The military must take proactive steps to identify and address extremism, creating a culture that rejects hatred and intolerance. This requires a multi-pronged approach that includes enhanced screening and vetting procedures. Thorough background checks and psychological evaluations can help identify individuals with extremist leanings. Education and training are also key. Service members should receive comprehensive training on the dangers of extremism, how to identify warning signs, and how to report suspicious activity. Promoting diversity and inclusion is another important step. A more diverse and inclusive military is less susceptible to extremist ideologies. And finally, zero-tolerance policies are essential. The military must send a clear message that extremism will not be tolerated within its ranks. By taking these steps, the military can create a culture that values respect, tolerance, and the oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Section 8. A shared responsibility. Vigilance and understanding. Preventing homegrown terrorism is not solely the responsibility of law enforcement or the military. It requires a collective effort from all segments of society. This includes educating ourselves about the signs of extremism. By being aware of the warning signs, we can help identify individuals who may be at risk of radicalization. Reporting suspicious activity is also crucial. If you see something, say something. Report any concerning behavior to the appropriate authorities. Challenging extremist rhetoric is another important step. We must counter extremist narratives with messages of tolerance, understanding, and respect. Supporting veterans is also vital. We can all do our part to welcome veterans back into civilian life and provide them with the support they need to thrive. By working together, we can create a society that is resilient to extremism and fosters a sense of belonging for all its members. Section 9. Safeguarding America. Balancing security and freedom. The threat of homegrown terrorism presents a complex challenge for a nation founded on principles of freedom and liberty. Striking a balance between security and freedom is never easy, but it is essential that we do not compromise our values in the name of security. Indiscriminate surveillance, profiling, and other draconian measures are not only ineffective, but also counterproductive. They alienate the very communities we need to engage with and erode the trust that is essential for effective counterterrorism efforts. Instead, we must focus on targeted interventions, intelligence-led policing, and community outreach programs that address the root causes of extremism while upholding our fundamental freedoms. This requires a nuanced approach that recognizes the complexities of the issue and avoids simplistic solutions. The attack on Bourbon Street was a tragedy, a stark reminder of the threat posed by homegrown terrorism. but it also served as a call to action, a reminder that we must remain vigilant, understanding, and committed to safeguarding our nation from all threats, both foreign and domestic. By working together, we can create a safer, more just, and more resilient society for all.